I tracked every single thing I wore for an entire year. Yes, every outfit, every single day. And I know this sounds intense, but it was actually one of the most fun and eye opening things that I have done for my personal style. Over the past 12 months, I wasn't just collecting data, I was also gathering insights. What I reach for the most, what sits untouched, what makes me feel amazing, and what quietly makes me feel a bit off. So, in this video, I'm breaking down the 10 biggest lessons that I have learned about my personal style and even about myself after a year of tracking every single outfit. So, without further ado, let's dive right into it. And if you're new here, this is actually part 3 of my wardrobe tracking series. In part 1, I shared how I managed to track everything as someone that doesn't enjoy strict routines, and I gave you all of my tips for digitizing your wardrobe and staying consistent with tracking. And in part 2, I revealed all of the juicy numbers: how many pieces I wore, what I wore the most and the least, the cost per wear, how much I spent on my wardrobe, and much more. So check them out in here. But today, it is all about those personal style insights, so let's start with number 10. I realized that I need some part of my body to show regardless of the season. For the longest time, I felt like my style was very inconsistent because it was varying quite a lot from the summer to the winter time. And there were also some winter outfits that really didn't work, the same thing with the summer. I just couldn't figure out why. And it was only when I had a year of data and I started to compare my photos and outfits from the different seasons that a light bulb moment happened. I realized that no matter the season, I need some kind of skin showing for my outfits to feel balanced. And because in the winter I oftentimes have higher neck tops, longer coats, boots, all of that is covering my body, I oftentimes opt for really short bottoms. So whether that is a mini skirt, shorts, or even one of my favorite skirts, I really enjoy wearing those shorter bottoms with a pair of tights in the winter. And yes, I know that tights aren't technically skin, but I still feel like it has the same effect of balancing a more covered top with a slightly more revealing bottom. However, in the summer, if it gets really hot, I don't really enjoy having longer sleeve tops or anything really big on top. And so I would oftentimes wear just a tank top or a short sleeve shirt. And so during those moments, I would feel quite open on the top. And if I pair that with a mini skirt or a pair of shorts, oftentimes I would feel too exposed, kind of going on the other side of the spectrum. And so again, this is why oftentimes in the summer, I would opt for longer, wider leg trousers, midi skirts, and of course, they still need to be flowy and allow for that movement, especially if it's really hot. But I don't like to have top and bottom having exactly the same level of coverage. And that realization has really helped me when planning outfits for work or for holiday because I know what I don't like, and so it allows me to create outfits that really feel like me. At number 9, I really started to embrace the fact that I need more visual interest in my outfits. And even though I wouldn't necessarily call them very bold, extravagant, or super loud, I rarely wear color on color on color, I still enjoy to have a higher level of visual interest. So that will often manifest in items having an interesting texture, shape, or being styled in a way that there is a pop of color or an interesting accessory. And so you can even see right now I'm wearing 5 different rings, but they're all very slim. And so it's not about minimalism or maximalism, but it's kind of like more maximalist styling through smaller shapes. And the same thing actually applies to clothes. I have a plain striped shirt, but it also has this fun writing on top of it. And so that creates that visual interest. And so I don't need every single thing in my outfit to be visually interesting, but I do need the entire composition to feel a little bit richer and not to be made out of basics. And that leads me to lesson number 8. I realized that there are things that I really enjoy visually and I like to buy them, and then there is things that I really enjoy wearing. And those are oftentimes not the same thing. So for example, I am really drawn to large, colorful or chunky earrings. And this is something that whenever I see it in store or someone gives that to me, I love it. But the truth is that in my day-to-day life, I just don't reach out for those earrings because they're either a bit difficult to style or they're a little bit heavy. And so in fact, I oftentimes reach for smaller or silver earrings because they're much easier to style and a lot lighter. Same thing applies with belts. I love a good white belt and I have a couple of them that I have bought and then ended up donating or selling because I just don't reach out for them. And at the same time, even though I'm not necessarily super visually drawn to thinner belts, this is the belt that I've been wearing non-stop for this entire year, I think over 50 times. And so the one thing that I've learned is that just because an item is visually interesting, visually exciting, and I love the look of it, it doesn't actually mean that it's going to fit my lifestyle and it's going to be something that I reach out for a lot. And so through tracking what I actually wore on a day-to-day basis for 365 days, I was able to fully determine and accept the fact that there are certain pieces that aren't maybe the most exciting on the planet, but these are the things that really help me to build better outfits. And so if I am buying a replacement, I would much rather replace my thinner belt than buy another thicker one. And because I had all of that data, it actually allowed me to declutter and get rid of things a lot easier rather than in the past when I had to make decisions purely based on feelings. So before I started tracking my outfits, I would have a feeling that, oh, I have worn the shirt a lot or I haven't. And it was through tracking that I realized that my perception is completely flawed. For example, if I saw the same jumper on my chair or in my wardrobe 50 times, I would have the impression that I have worn this a lot. When in fact, when I check my stats, I had only worn it 3 or 4 times, which is definitely not a lot. And so in the past, I would often be inclined to keep things that I thought I wore a lot, but it was because I saw them a lot, not because I actually wore them a lot. At the same time, there were things that I didn't think I would actually wear that much, like my trainers, that ended up being super, super comfortable and very popular choice when it comes to my shoes. So of course, if I still love something, I am not going to get rid of it, but there were certain things that I was on the fence about, for example, this black bag. And looking through my data from my insights, I realized that I hadn't really reached for this bag over the past year. And that made the decision to let it go be a lot easier and a lot less emotional. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so I can continue to share more videos like this with you. And when it comes to tracking what you actually wear and what you don't, I realized that I don't really need to find my outfit formulas. I actually had outfit formulas that I could always go back to. So while I am not a big outfit repeater, and I think you'll very, very rarely find me repeating exactly the same outfit, the basis of the outfit can oftentimes stay the same in terms of the kind of pieces. So for example, it might be a skirt with an oversized jumper, and then I would have 20 different combinations because I have 4 bottoms and 5 tops. Or a white blouse with a pair of jeans, and so on. And so I wanted to show you a couple of different outfit formulas that I've realized are my go-to outfits based on my most worn items. So this first outfit formula is very simple. I call it the casual chic, and it's basically a loose-fitting bottom, in this case my most popular jeans, any sort of fitted top that has some visual interest. This one has rhinestones, any sort of silver jewelry. I kind of like having rings, earrings, a necklace, just a couple of different things. I usually add my thin belt because it adds a little bit of that chicness and a little bit of polish, and then any sort of comfortable shoes and a relaxed bag. And this is a very simple outfit formula that I can vary. It can be any other pair of denim, can be any other top, can be sneakers. All of those are quite easy to replace. The second outfit formula I call the elevated edgy, and usually I would start here with faux leather pants or maybe black pants, but it's quite nice to have a little bit more of that. Then any sort of oversized jumper, loose fitting shirt if it's a bit warmer, and then I have silver earrings to create some visual interest around the face. I would normally wear with my chunky black boots and a structured bag, again, to elevate this look a little bit. And I usually like to add a beret and my shorter cropped fluffy coat just to create a little bit more of that romantic feminine feeling. And the final outfit formula that I often use, especially in the winter, is what I call cozy elegance. So it's basically one of my skirts with patterned tights and my tall boots on the bottom. And then on top, I would usually have either a thicker jumper or I would layer a t-shirt with a medium thickness jumper to create again a bit of visual interest around the face. I would also add my longer coat to create a bit of that elegance and romantic feeling, and I love my baker boy hat, so one of those would work. And again, in here, the jewelry, the bag, they're easily replaceable as well, but this is kind of the outfit formula that allows me to feel very chic but also still be cozy and elegant. And so you can see that even though those outfits aren't necessarily the most visually exciting, I only need to replace 1 or 2 things to make it feel much more interesting. And this is what allows me right now to get dressed really fast. I rarely spend more than 5 minutes picking an outfit because I have learned so much more about what are the things that I wear a lot, what feels comfortable to me, and what is the kind of outfit combination that looks and feels good. And on the topic of most worn items, something that really surprised me is how much I actually enjoyed denim. So this might surprise some of you that have been following this channel, but actually a year ago, the only pair of denim that I had was a pair of white jeans. I didn't have a single pair of blue jeans, and I was very much like, I like trousers, I like shorts, I don't wear jeans. I had this perception that jeans are uncomfortable, they're not my style, way too casual, and all of that. And it was only when I found this pair of Zara jeans that I've talked about a lot, that is really, really comfortable, and I ended up wearing it over 50 times in the last year, that I started to realize that denim as a fabric is actually quite comfortable if you find it in the right cuts. And so since that revelation, I started to add more and more denim pieces. So I've added a denim maxi skirt, a denim mini skirt, and a couple of different denim jackets in different colors. But beyond that, I've also added a couple of new pairs of jeans and a couple of denim shirts, and I really, really enjoy this fabric because it is cotton, it is a natural material, it's also oftentimes blue, which is one of my favorite colors, and so it is also very easy to wear and pair. And with all of my denim pieces, of course, there is that risk that you can pair it with other stuff that are very casual and end up with a very relaxing casual outfit, which doesn't really fit my preferences. But I've actually really enjoyed kind of the style challenge and the addition of denim because it has given me a different color, different texture that I can work with. And actually pairing denim with some of my more elevated pieces has allowed me to expand my wardrobe possibilities so much more. And when it comes to putting outfits together, something that I've learned over the past year is that it is impossible for every single outfit to feel 10 out of 10 every single day. And that is okay. Now, for those of you that have watched part 1, you know that I track my outfits and I tag them with 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10, or 10 out of 10. And I rarely now get outfits that are below 6, but if I do, I archive them and try to figure out what went wrong. Now, the outfits that I'm likely to repeat, more or less the same, are the 10 out of 10, but all of the other ones are still teaching me something about my personal style. And I've started to realize that in a given week, I'll probably have 4 or 5 days where the outfit is a 9 or 10 out of 10, but there will be some days where my outfit is just okay, and that is fine. So whether that is because it's really cold outside and I just want to stay in, and when I stay in, I've noticed that I would often just use 2 pieces, like a top and a bottom, or maybe a dress and a pair of tights, and that's it. I wouldn't really go and add a lot of accessories, a lot of jewelry, and that's fine. That is usually why my outfit feels like 7 out of 10. Something's missing, but it's not really bad. And so what I've learned is that, hey, it is okay for not all of your outfits to feel like an absolutely 100%, but also oftentimes there are really small things that you can do that can actually take the outfit up a notch. And so for me, once I realized that what I'm oftentimes missing is a little bit of that visual interest or maximalism, if you wish, and that is preventing me from wanting to go out and do things, all I started to do is maybe add a pair of earrings like I have today, and that already was kind of starting to feel more like me, which made me more likely to go out, engage, meet people, and just enjoy my life even more. And when it comes to styling, I feel like styling is very much an underrated skill, and it is something that I am still learning and developing every single day. But through tracking my outfits and everything that I wear and don't wear, I started to spot a lot of things that I had been ignoring, and even whole categories that feel a little bit challenging. So for example, scarves as a category is something that I find a little bit fussy. Not because it is difficult to put on or anything like that, but I think that scarves require a little bit of intention. You have to decide where you're gonna put it, how you're gonna tie it, and how it actually goes with the rest of your outfit. And so for me, oftentimes if I'm really busy, I would lean into not having a scarf because I don't really want to think. But I do know that just like I was really not capable of styling denim, and that's why I ignored it, I can learn to style scarves in the same way. And so there are a couple of categories like with the colorful earrings or even maybe some floral prints that again I find a little bit challenging to style personally. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a second chance, and I'm going to practice styling those specific pieces that are a little bit tricky initially, because I know that the more I style them, the more likely I am to find a really good way to wear them. And once I find that way, it's going to make it a lot easier, and I'm actually more likely to end up loving those pieces even more. Now we're at the runner-up, and that is lesson number 2, which actually surprised me quite a lot, because when it comes to spending money, I have a lot of tops, a lot of bottoms. I was very much keen on buying more tops and more bottoms because I thought that that's the best way for me to expand my wardrobe. But actually, tracking what I wore and what actually helped me to make outfits better, I realized that the categories that are the best investment are actually jewelry and outerwear. And that kind of makes sense, right? Especially for someone that lives in the UK where it's quite cold pretty much the entire year, besides maybe a month or 2. I do wear jackets very often. And even in the winter, it's quite a long winter. So I do like to have coats for different occasions. I like to have my smart work coat. I like to have a more romantic coat. I like to have more of a sporty, going for a walk or hike kind of coat. And it is okay. And of course, coats can be a little bit of an investment. Even if you're buying them pre-loved, they can still be quite expensive. And in the past, I would often buy 5 different tops for £10 rather than spend £50 on one single coat. But what I realized is that those coats really get the cost per wear down very, very quickly. And so right now, if I find a jacket or coat that I really like, I am much more likely to invest in it because I know that throughout the year, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for me to wear that and style that. And the same thing actually applies to silver jewelry, especially more delicate jewelry. Now, statement pieces are statement because they're usually bigger in size, they're also more memorable, and oftentimes you can't really stack 3 big statement necklaces unless you're Iris Apfel and this is your kind of look. Now, for me, that doesn't really work. And so I found that if I have a lot of those really big, bold necklaces or rings or bracelets, I'm not actually maximizing my wardrobe because I can't wear them that often. I can only wear one piece at a time. However, when it came to rings or bracelets that were a lot smaller, a lot thinner, like here, I can actually stack 4 or 5 every single day. And that again made them more wearable and made the cost per wear go down very quickly. And so right now, if I find a ring that I really like and it's about 20-25 pounds, I know that that is absolutely fine because I can wear it like 20-30 times in the next month. It is very easy for me to do that because I wear rings on a daily basis. And so tracking everything that I wear has made me just more comfortable with spending money on the things that are actually going to be worn and going to contribute to my style rather than on the things that I thought are contributing to my style but weren't something that truly made a difference. And at number 1, we have the lesson that absolutely surprised me because I had no idea when I started this journey on the 1st of May last year. But what I really learned in the past year is that I didn't need to find my personal style. I already had a personal style. And that's the biggest thing, right? Because oftentimes we would go and try to find our personal style. And of course, if you're 20 and you haven't really experimented with clothes, that's totally fine. You can try different aesthetics and see what really works for you. But I think for most of us, if we've tried for a couple of years, if we're wearing different clothes and thinking about style, we oftentimes have a personal style. It just might be tricky to put into words or to figure out the patterns of what's working and what's not. But for me, tracking my outfits actually allowed me to see all of the things that I didn't know before. Like, for example, that I don't enjoy colorful bottoms. This was not something that I had realized before, but it's something that I know right now is just not part of my personal style. And it doesn't mean that it will never be, but at the moment, as I stand, this is just not who I am. And there were so many insights like that. And through actually tracking what I wore on a daily basis, it allowed me to see that I know what I'm doing. I know what my outfits are. And even though not every outfit is a 10 out of 10, most of the time, I'm actually quite happy with my outfits. And this has taken, of course, years of trial and error, experimenting and playing with different things. But at the same time, it actually removed so much of that pressure to define my style and figure out the next thing and see if I like this aesthetic or that aesthetic. I realized that even though you might not be able to put the exact words, you might already have your personal style figured out. And oftentimes it's very easy for someone external to spot. And this is something that I do with my clients in the style strategy sessions. I am yet to meet a client that really doesn't have a personal style. Every single person I've worked with, whether they know it or not, they already have a personal style. They have things that they like or don't like. They have things that they like to wear and things that never really work. And it is just about maybe putting that structure and that understanding and that wording behind it. But actually, you already have your personal style. And so I think that if you're tracking and you maybe a couple of months in, keep on going because you'll learn so much about yourself. And if you're someone that maybe has considered tracking your outfits, you don't have to even do it for that long as I did. Even a month tracking is going to help you to start to spot real trends and patterns in what you enjoy and what you don't. And you'll start to feel much more comfortable in your personal style. So let me know in the comments which of those 10 lessons resonated with you the most. And if you're someone that has been tracking your outfits for a while now, what is something that you have learned? Thank you for being here and I'll see you in the next video.